Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, and I'm very pleased to say I am joined now by the legend that is Chris Jericho. Chris, how are you?
Amazing, man. Always nice to talk to my friends over the pond, for sure.
Now, the Chris Jericho Cruise second wave is doing phenomenally well. 90% sold out. I've got to say congrats on that, first of all.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, the fact that we're still 7 months away from setting sail and to know we have this much of a response, it just goes to show how much fun the first one was, because I think the people that were on it just spread the word completely. And we did technically sell out the first one, but this is an actual, no upgrades, no discounts, just a full-on, rush of people that want to be involved in this. And like I said, if we were, a month out, it'd be great. But the fact we're 7 months out, I mean, this is going to sell out for sure long, long before we actually hit the ocean. So that's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's truly, truly incredible. But like you said, I suppose the buzz from the first one makes it understandable why so many people want to get involved in it. And you look at the names alongside yourself and all the wrestling, obviously with All Elite Wrestling involved as well. But, names like Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Booker T, DDP, Jake the Snake, the list goes on and on and on. And it's understandable why it's very nearly sold out. Now, this, of course, all started back in 2018, as you mentioned, with the first version of the Jericho Cruise. How did it all come about initially, Chris?
Well, I mean, we started to play the Kiss Cruise in 2015, and while I was on board, I realized that just how great of an experience was from a musician standpoint, from a professional standpoint, from a fan standpoint, and just how much there was to do on board. And I was like, you don't have to be a Kiss fan to appreciate and have fun on this cruise. And that's when I started thinking, like, I can do my own cruise. I mean, what am I known for? Wrestling and rock and roll. What if I combine those two things, which is what I've always done my whole life, and make this, unique experience? Yeah, we have a lot of rock and roll cruises, and we have a lot of theme cruises, but we've never had one that had actual wrestling matches at sea. And we've never had one that's kind of been orchestrated and directed, by Chris Jericho, so to speak. And I think a little bit differently from the norm, and I know what my fans like because I am one, and I know what a good time is and what a party is and kind of what the vibe is of what I wanted to do. So it wasn't hard for me to realize I could do it. I had to convince Six Man, who's my partner. They promote the Kiss Cruise and Kid Rock and Leonard Skinner and all these different types of cruises, but I had to kind of convince them what I was thinking is viable, and it took about 3 years to do that, but we did. That's kind of how it started, where the idea came from, and how I started to refine it to know that I wanted to make this an annual destination vacation for people who like to have a good time, and giving them a lot of variety while we do that.
It really sounds like a sort of once-in-a-lifetime experience, and like you say, it's understandable why people who've been before want to come back, and why people who haven't, who've heard about it, want to go. You can get your tickets at chrisjerichocruise.com. Chris, I should mention as well, obviously, you're doing this in correlation with All Elite Wrestling, and I wanted to make sure I thanked you for the continued success of AEW, because I feel like that hasn't been said enough.
Well, I appreciate that, man. He's just saying thanks. Those sons of bitches are, but I'll get them. I'll get them in the end, my friend.
It's been an amazing meteoric rise for All Elite Wrestling. You obviously got in on the ground floor. What's it been like being involved with the company and seeing, what they've been able to achieve with Double or Nothing, and then selling out All Out in 15 minutes?
I think it just goes to show that people are looking for an alternative to what's going on in business today. All Elite is competition, just by proxy of what we're doing is wrestling, which WWE is doing, and what New Japan is doing. But I don't think we really see ourselves as a straight on attack. It's more like I said, it gives people another option, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think there's room for a company like ours. It's much more of a modern thinking. We're doing things different, and we're not going to be WWE light, because WWE's the best in the world at what they do. There's no doubt about it. We're not that, and we don't want to be that. I think that's one of the reasons why I signed with AEW, and Kenny and the Young Bucks, Cody, and all the guys that are on board. We wanted to continue to do things our own way, which is what, for me, I discovered when I left WWE in 2017 and went to New Japan. and realized like there's a lot of creativity here and a lot of freedom,
Mm.
and I don't have that in WWE. And there's nothing wrong with it. If you're working in the WWE, that's the system that they have there. I don't want to work that system anymore. I want to create my own system. And I think I was joined by a group of guys that had the same attitude as I do, and combine that with huge financial backing from the Khan family, a very knowledgeable wrestling analyst in Tony Khan,
Mm.
and then obviously the TV deal that we have with TBS, Turner, Warner, TNT, and the TV deal we have with ITV, at least the one that's brewing.
Mm-hmm.
You got some major elements here that give us a real chance to forge an identity for ourselves that puts us as a definite force in the marketplace. We're not worried what WWE's doing. We don't have an eye on them. We're just worried about what we're doing and trying to do things the best way possible. And I know at first when it was announced that it's Jericho versus Hangman Page, it's like, well, Hangman Page won a battle royal, and how does he get a title shot? No one knows who he is, and how's that going to draw? And then here you go, we sell out in 15 minutes. It goes to show that people are looking for a new group of guys that don't have to go through a developmental system for 3 years and learn the same style as everybody else. You be who you want to be in AEW. We'll pick up the ones that we think are going to be stars, and then we'll do the rest. Let me do what I can do to let people know who Hangman Page is for those people who don't know. He's one of the first guys that I wanted to work with when this all came to fruition. So I think at the end of the show, when you see what happens with me and Page, and whoever wins or whoever doesn't win, you're going to have a whole new respect for this guy, and we're going to create a star in one night because it's easy to do, and you can do it. You just have to put all your eggs in the basket of that person. And so that's just another example of what we do. That's just a little bit different from what other companies do, and I think it's something that people are going to be excited about.
Oh,
And obviously they are.
Yeah, unquestionably. I mean, I've said myself, whether or not you're a fan of WWE or AEW or whoever, I think arguably this is one of the most exciting times ever to be a wrestling fan. You talk about giving that exposure to someone like Hangman Page. It's not just him who's getting this exposure in AEW. I wanted to talk to you very quickly about MJF because I've seen you've had a bit of back and forth with him on social media, but he was the talk of the town following Double or Nothing. Can you see a bit of yourself in him?
I mean, I guess you could say that, but I mean, he's a heel. He's doing what a heel should do. So yeah, there's a little bit of myself in there, but there's a little bit of every heel that ever understood the concept of wrestling, which is it's not how many bumps you take, it's how you connect with the audience, and there's different ways to do that. MJF doing it the way that he's doing it, I think, is really smart. And once again, here's a guy that we've kind of tapped that maybe nobody knows, but you're going to know him very quickly. And I like his ego. I like his attitude, his fearlessness. You're talking about a 23-year-old kid that hasn't really been anywhere, but he's got the talk down, and that's the most important thing. So I think that's something that's missing in a lot of other companies is those young kids. Like Jungle Boy. I mean, my preteen 12-year-old twin daughters like Jungle Boy the best in AEW. He's 21 years old. I mean, these are the type of guys that we have that we're not going to send you away to developmental or all these other places. You're going to develop on our roster, and we're going to provide this demographic that I think is sorely missing to kids and teenage girls and teenage boys that are looking for inspiration. So I think MJF is doing a great job. I think we have a great roster already with a bunch of untapped talent. Yes, everyone's talking about Jericho and Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega and Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Cody Rhodes, Adam Page. But there's a dozen other guys that wait till you see them because we scoured the world looking for the best untapped, unsigned talent. And you might think, well, the WWE has signed all the best guys. They didn't. And we've got a whole bunch of them. Do they have a lot to learn? Of course. But that's what we're here to do is to teach them and to help them learn and create stars very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I was there at Double or Nothing, and the showcasing of new talent, and like you say, the possibly slightly lesser known stars of the current industry really is there for AEW. You've had some incredible dream matches over the last few years, alongside obviously all your WWE work. You've faced Omega, Okada, Naito. Is there anyone else you really are desperate still to face in your career?
Well, I'm not desperate to face anybody, but I think you were looking at guys. Hangman is one of them. I would love to face the Young Bucks. I've never worked with against them before. The Pentagon, Phoenix, those guys are out there that have a lot of buzz. You're talking about Japan. I'd love to work with Tanahashi, Minoru Suzuki, Will Ospreay. There's a few guys there. Kota Ibushi. There's a few guys out there that still have great careers going. Some of them have been around for years and years and years, like Suzuki has. Some of them are just starting, like Hangman Page has. But I'm just happy to work with and kind of creatively stimulates me and gives me some ideas. Jungle Boy, I'd love to work with Jungle Boy, But if you're talking about straight up dream matches between somebody of kind of my stature, I would say probably Tanahashi in Japan and maybe the Young Bucks, either in a tag team match or a singles match with both of them here in the States.
That would be absolutely amazing. I was flicking through your book before I came in here earlier on, and was reminded of the incident with Bob Barker. Could we ever see Chris Jericho versus Bob Barker in AEW?
Barker, I will kick your ass anytime, any place, anywhere. Definitely the best guest host in WWE history, for sure. What a great guy.
He was absolutely fantastic. Just a quick couple of fan questions I've got sent in when I said I was going to be chatting to you. Carl McConville wanted to ask you your favorite match stipulation.
Well, I mean, it's funny because there's 3 match stipulations that I created that they've made into toy sets, like the action figure play sets. And one of them is Money in the Bank, which has became its own pay-per-view. So that's probably, if I got royalties on that one, I'd be rich, but I don't. The other one is the Ambrose Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one where we put all the weapons on top of the cage. And the other one wasn't really a stipulation, but it was the Festival of Friendship. They made a whole play set on that. But that stipulation, I guess it all depends on what the reason is. I don't like stipulations just for the sake of it. But if you're talking about match-wise, cage matches are super fun and super easy as long as you don't overthink them. Ladder matches the same. There's no reason to make them dangerous. I think that's something that's happening now is guys are thinking that they have to get more dangerous with a ladder match, whereas you forget that the ladder as a weapon is dangerous itself. I think you look at the ladder match I had with Shawn Michaels, the ladder match I used with Chris Benoit. We didn't even try and climb the ladder for the first 10 minutes. We just beat the crap out of each other with the ladder. So I like that element of it, more than let's see how many crazy bumps we can fall and how high we can jump off it and that sort of a thing. But cage matches and ladder matches are super easy and a lot of fun if you know how to do them properly.
Yes, exactly. Now, you're known, obviously, for some incredible reinventions throughout your career. It was obviously showcased in your entrance for Double or Nothing. And Jeffrey Corbin has asked me to ask you some of the inspirations behind those reinventions of characters throughout your career.
I think the biggest inspiration is probably more music-related. You're talking about David Bowie. He always changed his style, always changed his look, but always remained kind of, true to himself. And I think that's one of the things that I always loved about Bowie was you never knew what you're going to get with him. And he just always had something cool that you could latch onto as a fan to where it was never the same thing twice. And I think that's something that's pretty cool about Jericho is that it's always something changing. I never wanted to be a nostalgia act. I never wanted to be like, here he is carting himself out here doing the same old stuff that he's done, when he was Y2J 20 years ago. That's not exciting for me, and that's not anything that I ever wanted to do in the business. So I think just always to continue to change things. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to always continue to change, because when you looked at some of those guys like Bowie or even like the Beatles, the music they made, you never knew what you were going to get, but it was always cool and it kept people guessing. And it makes people, it gives you longevity more than anything.
Final question, Chris. Kid Icarus has asked, excluding yourself, who is on your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling?
Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, it's hard. You know what I mean? I mean, I think Flair always goes on there, but that might be such a stock answer that let me think a little bit deeper. Like when I was a kid, I was really into Shawn Michaels, Ricky Steamboat, and Owen Hart.
Mm.
Those are my three favorites. So let me put those three on there, and then I'll put Hulk Hogan on there too, because Hulk's kind of the guy that really got me into wrestling. So if you're talking about my influences, those would be the four that I would put on there.
It's not a bad lineup for your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. Chris, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today. I do hope we'll speak again soon. Best of luck with the cruise, ChrisJerichoCruise.com if you want to go and check that out. Best of luck for the future of AEW, and best of luck in your career going forward, because it is phenomenal to see you whenever you appear.
Cheers, man. Look forward to coming back to the UK very soon as well. I do.